Hi there, Accidental Octogenarian here again, and this time I want to tell you about life in the 1950s. When I look back on those years, there's a part of it that feels quite ordinary, and another part that doesn't. At the same time, you don't question things. You simply accept them as the way life is. Because at 5 years old, 7 years old, what do you know of life? Only this. My mother was working as a bus conductress, and her driver became my stepfather. He was a good man, trying, I think, to keep everything balanced. Because in that house there were quite a few moving parts. My stepbrother was there, and so was my stepfather's mother. Now, I didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back, things weren't quite as even as they should have been. There was a difference in how we were treated. Not always obvious, not something you could easily point to, but it was there. Still, life carried on. And like most families at the time, we had our moments of progress. One of the big ones was when we got a TV set. Now, this wasn't just any TV set. This was a black and white, single channel, 12-inch set. No point in having more than a single channel, because we only had one TV station, BBC. It was brought in for the coronation of Elizabeth II in 1953. And that was something special. But my grandmother, she had her own view of it. Now remember, she was a Victorian. She'd been brought up in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, when technology was very, very little. And she was quite convinced that people on the TV could see her. So whenever it was on, she would move her chair right into the middle of the room and sit with her back to it so nobody could see her for weeks. Now, at the time, that just seemed like one of those things. But when I think about it now, it says something about the world in which she had grown up, and perhaps how things were for each of us, even under the same roof. Because alongside moments like that, there were others that felt less easy. I didn't always understand why, but there were times when I felt on the outside of things. Nothing you could explain clearly, nothing you could prove. Just a sense that things weren't quite balanced. But like I said, as a child, you don't question it. You just accept it and carry on. It's only much later that you start to look back and realize that what probably felt normal at the time perhaps wasn't. I'll tell you more in the next video. Bye for now.